and welcome to the bright sunshine of Spain for this week's edition of the Week in Triathlon. And without further ado, let's roll that intro and get stuck into today's news. First up, as far as the Week in Triathlon is concerned, is the Rio Olympic Games, which is just around the corner. And Australian women's triathlon is sitting with an interesting conundrum. They have no less than 6 athletes that are ranked within the top 32 places in the world, which would, under normal circumstances, earn each of those athletes an automatic qualification for the Rio Olympic Games. However, the anomaly that the Australian Triathlon Federation is sitting with is that they can only nominate a team of 3 athletes to go to Rio, which means that there will be another 3 athletes within the top 32 in the world that won't make the cut simply because they are all Australian. Go figure. But we'll have to wait and see how the opening races of the World Triathlon Series for 2016 play themselves out, and which of those Australian athletes effectively competing against each other get far enough up the pile to be able to qualify to get through to the Rio Olympic Games. Now onto the world of Ironman. Many of you may have remembered that just last week I reported on the first 70.3 in many years happening in China, and that's as a direct spin-off of the Chinese consortium that's bought out the Ironman brand. And how interesting I found it that the event in China was offering, a 70.3 event in China was offering slots for Kona. And it so happened that a couple of people pointed out to me that there were 1 or 2 events in the USA over the years, 1 or 2 70.3s within the USA, that were designated as flagship USA 70.3s that offered direct Kona slots. So offering direct Kona slots from a 70.3 isn't that much of a new thing. But the interesting fact is that now 1 week later, China has announced yet another 70.3. This time it'll be in the Hefei province of China, and the event is set for the 16th of October. And it's interesting to note that besides the normal 50 slots for the 70.3 World Championship, this event also carries 15 slots for Kona, so which means that at the moment China has only 2 70.3 events, and both of these events carry slots for Kona. And interestingly enough, the events that used to be in the USA, or the events in the USA that used to offer direct Kona slots for the 70.3, those Kona slots have been cut from there, and it seems like the only place to qualify for Kona from a 70.3 these days will be in China. And I'm guessing in another week or two's time there'll be yet another 70.3 in China, and that one will also carry direct Kona slots. So go figure. If you want to qualify for China racing 70.3, if you want to qualify for Kona for racing 70.3, the only way to do it these days is to do all your racing in China. So without further ado, let's have a look at the Ironman calendar as it's happening. Last weekend, 0 results to report on because there were no Ironmans or half Ironmans, no Ironman branded events taking place last weekend. But this coming weekend, on Sunday the 24th of January, there's going to be the Ironman 70.3 South Africa, Buffalo City, East London, and we'll have to wait and see how that event pans itself out. In previous years, I remember seeing James Cunnama, Jody Swallow dominating at that one, but their Facebook feeds seem to indicate that the both of them are in London at the moment, so it looks like neither of them will be there to race that one. But we'll have to wait and see on Sunday how that race pans itself out and who will be taking top spot off the podium. Then on to the world of the Challenge family. The only piece of news coming out of the Challenge family is that they've announced the pro field for the 10th edition of the Challenge Wanaka, where their athletes will be competing for $80,000 prize fund. And besides the 2 defending champions in the women's event, there's also going to be the last year's winner of Challenge Roth, and former world record holder over the 226 kilometer distance, and that's Yvonne van Vlerken, and she'll be lining up too. So that'll be an interesting race to see how it pans itself out. $80,000 prize fund that the pros will be competing for, and what's more, the age group event is going to be one of the largest at one lugger they've ever had, and that's going to be somewhere in the ballpark of 1,600 to 2,000 athletes. So we'll see how that pans itself out. But as far as this weekend is concerned, 0 events on the Challenge Family calendar, and last weekend there weren't any events for me to report on either. Onto the world of Xterra. Well, there is absolutely nothing to report on as far as Xterra is concerned. It's almost like they're not even existing at the moment. No news feeds, no nothing. First events happening in the month of February, and besides that, nothing really to report on at all. The only possible thing, and it's not even really Xterra related, is that the 2 Xterra Globetrotting pros, Ben Allen and Jackie Slack, have gotten engaged over the course of the past week, and so that's the only real Xterra news. But congratulations to Ben and Jackie. Hope you have an awesome future together. And finally, onto the world of the ITU. The European Triathlon Union had a lavish awards gala in Paris, attended by the presidents and representatives of the 33 national federations that make up the European Triathlon Union. And during the dinner, defending Olympic champions Nicolas Berwick and Javier Gomez-Noya were awarded European Athletes of the Year awards. Then also on the ITU front, another piece of news coming from the ITU is that the ITU started a fundraising campaign to rebuild a school in Nepal, and the amount raised was a little over $10,000, which I'm pretty sure is way less than what gets spent regularly by the ITU on various lavish gala dinners that happen all around the planet that coincide with meetings of the ITU. Because obviously when there's a meeting of the ITU at a certain place, the ITU needs to fly the delegates out there, host them in a hotel, lavish gala dinners and such like, and then fly them back home again. And I'm pretty sure what gets spent on that is way more than the $10,000 that was donated to Nepal to be able to rebuild the school. So the ITU could easily fund that themselves, but they instead set up a separate fundraising campaign for that. Last weekend in the ITU, there was an American Continental Cup that took place in La Paz, Argentina, and Romina Palacio Balena and Luciano Taccone, both of Argentina, picked up the top spots of the podium at that event. Looking ahead to this coming event, on Saturday the 23rd of January, there will be a European Triathlon Union Winter Triathlon Championship that will be taking place, and I'll be able to report back to you next week on how that event panned itself out. That brings us to the end of this week's edition of the Week in Triathlon. Remember, share this out amongst all your triathlon friends. Give me the thumbs up if you like this type of video content. Remember that down below the video screen is a big red subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button, stay subscribed to my channel, because remember, every day at 2 p.m. European Standard Time, 8 a.m. New York time, I'll be publishing a video that is answering directly an athlete question. And if you have any questions that you wanted to ask me to be answered in the athlete question time, by all means post those in the comment section down below. So stay subscribed to my channel for all those athlete questions that come out to you 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and also you'll be first in line to receive notification the moment next week Friday's edition of the Week in Triathlon publishes as well. Remember, any comments, questions, criticisms, post those down below. Subscribe. I'll be seeing you next time. Stay carved up for the win. Cheers. CoachEdu.net